Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today I am so excited. I am interviewing a student who graduated. When did Brittany graduate? Like maybe a year ago? A little over a year ago. Brittany is a certified transformation mindset and manifestation coach. And her kind of niche and what she's up to is she is helping women break generational patterns using NLP and all of these different cool modalities that she's learned. So I'm super excited to dive into it with Brittany today. She is so incredibly lovely. Hi,
Hello.
how are
I
you?
didn't know how this thing worked. I was like, I think I'm doing this right.
I missed you and your blue wall. I haven't seen you in so long.
I know it's been a while. It's been a while. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thanks for being here. I'm super excited. Brittany, how long ago did you graduate? Like in a year?
A year, it was June 26th, 2024. So it's been a year. I
Okay.
know. I know. And it's funny because 18 is my number. So 26, 2 plus 6 is 8. I was like, it was meant. It was meant to be.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah,
love when things are like serendipitous like that.
I know. It's funny because there's a lot of that during my time in Yes Supply. There was a lot of that, and I absolutely loved it. And I just went with the flow and just allowed myself to like absorb it. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Okay, well, I'm so excited to chat, Brittany, but can you tell us all a little bit about you, about what you do, about how you got into personal development?
Yeah, it is a kind of a funny story because it really has taken me back way longer than I actually thought. But where I first started, just before I found Yes Supply, I was a financial advisor, an independent financial advisor. And that kind of got me into a little bit of the personal growth and development. And I had gone to Vegas for a convention and I saw Ed Mylett speaking there. And I don't know if anybody knows who Ed Mylett is. He is a phenomenal human and speaker. Like he's so good. And I remember him saying, and it's funny because my mom had come with me, and I remember him saying there is one person in every family that changes the course of that family. And that spoke so true to my soul. I actually started to get really emotional and I looked over at my mom and I said, I'm that one. I am the one in the family to change the generational patterns. And that's kind of when it started. So that was about 3 years ago, is when I really started diving deep into the personal growth and development world. And then my daughter and I were kind of going through a journey together. My daughter was being bullied and she was in her own journey and I was in my own personal journey as well. But her journey and my journey kind of collided together and it was so beautiful. We ended up writing a book, but before that is when I actually found Yes Supply. And I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking. It just kind of happened. I was on a thread and somebody had said, "Oh yeah, Reese with Yes Supply." And I was like, "What is this?" And then I ended up looking in and that January, so January of 2024 is actually when I registered. And it's more so for myself because I just wanted to learn more about how the subconscious programs work, right? I was the one in my family to change the pattern. So I needed to learn this stuff
Hmm.
and then I ended up going on a live, one of your guys' lives, and Reese was doing the live, and I asked her a question, and she was amazing. Everybody in the company is so incredibly amazing, and that's when I wanted to join because I just felt such a beautiful connection. So I've been on this personal growth and development for quite a while. And now that's what I do with my clients. I help women change the generational patterns within themselves to become the one within their family to help the next generation and to want more and desire more in their life. And so I work a lot of one-on-one with my clients. And then now I'm like trickling into group coaching and stuff like that. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's it.
Wow, that is so powerful. Okay, I love Ed Mylett. I love his podcast. He's so
Yes.
cool. Okay, that's so interesting. And it's so interesting that like the financial aspect of it too kind of got you into personal development because I think like money and like the energy of money is such a personal thing in terms of like your energy and the way you handle things based on even like your generational patterns and things like that. Anyways, that's a whole other discussion, but it is so cool that that kind of like was the bridge that got you here. But I love what you were saying about how you're that person in your family that like really was like, I'm going to change it. I heard this quote one time and it was like, this pattern ran in my family until it ran into me. And then it's like, okay, this is it. This stops. And it's cool that your journey with your daughter kind of lined up. Cause I remember you being in the program and telling us that you were writing a book with your daughter. That is so cool. So what's the book about?
Yeah. So the book is actually, it's a 20-day workbook for teen and tweens for a healthier mindset. And we
Cool.
published it so I started February 28th. It's funny that I know these dates. I started with Yes Supply, February 28th of 2024. And I was in Reese's cohort. It was the first cohort that she was back
Yeah.
from maternity leave. And it's funny because when I started, I was doing it just on my own, but
Yeah.
I just needed more. I needed more interaction with people. And that's why I ended up joining Reese's. But we actually, and this is where the 8s and 18s align, is we published our book on February 18th of 2024. So it is a 21-day workbook for teen and tween for a healthier mindset. And my daughter and I actually go to schools now and talk in classrooms,
Oh,
talk in front of the
wow.
school. Um, we've done little workshops and everything, and it's a really fun book for kids to really figure out who they are. Writing a letter to yourself. It's amazing how many people have never written a letter to themselves. And I really advise people to do it because it is such a beautiful thing to actually like tell yourself how proud you are of you and everything. So there's breath work techniques and everything. It is so fun. But what I learned doing that is it starts with us. It starts with the parents. We can't expect our kids to grow if we're not doing the work ourselves. So we really encourage parents to do the workbooks with their kids because I guarantee
Okay.
9 out of 10 have never done any of the things in that workbook. And it really creates a beautiful conversation with your child. Like I'm a mom of 3 and all 3 of my kids, my son is 8. My daughter just turned 11 yesterday on the 8th of July. This
Oh
is where
my
the 8th
goodness.
coming. And then my oldest, she's going to be 13, and she's the one that I did the book with because she was bullied for 2 years. She lost her hair, she lost her
Oh,
confidence, her identity. And so we actually go and speak to schools now about, how to step into the identity of somebody who is confident and I've given them tools with EFT because I love EFT. My daughter uses it before she goes into a test. Any exams that she has going into an exam, she actually removes herself from the class and actually does a whole tapping session to calm her nervous system. Like this has been brought into my life for a reason.
yes.
And so now I get to teach younger kids, but also I get to help the parents as well. Because like I said, it starts with us. It starts with us. We can't expect our kids to do the work when we aren't doing it ourselves, right? So yeah.
Brittany, that is so cool. Okay, Aubrey did a study for EFT. I don't know if we've talked about this online or if you've heard of this, but Aubrey did a study for EFT where she got people in our research groups to do a standardized test, and then she got the control group. Wait, I'm not very good at sciencey stuff. She got one group A. I'm trying to use like control group. I don't know what I'm saying. She got group A to do EFT tapping and then go back and do the test, and they had an increase in their score. And then the one group that didn't do EFT, their scores were almost identical. So it is
I got
so
goosebumps.
cool that your daughter's doing that. And like I'm sure we've all heard Reese say this a million times, but it's like, why isn't this taught in schools, like taught to kids? And here you are, Brittany, being the embodiment of the work and literally going into schools and teaching people this. That is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cool.
It's funny because just before because I'm in Canada, so our school ended on the 26th of June, and I actually went into my nephew's grade 5 class and got to teach them some of the work. And I walked away just like vibrating. I was like, you know what? If one kid has taken, and they were all involved with it, like I had them doing some techniques and everything, and some little things, but if I walked out of that class with one kid walking away saying, wow, that actually changed my life, I'm going to go into the new school next year being completely different, then I did my job,
Mhm.
right? I did my job. And so it was such a beautiful moment, and I feel very honored that because of the work that I've done on myself and the navigating with my daughter's journey, that we now get to help so many other kids figure that out as well. And they can go home and say, Mom, did you know about this? Because I always say, ask your mom what are 5 things she loves about herself. Because that is another thing, is like a lot of self-love. So we do some self-love work in the book and everything like that. And but yeah, it is such a beautiful thing that I get to now teach that to my kids, and we get to kind of do it together to regulate our nervous system, because I didn't know what that meant. I just thought life was just this big ball of swirl, right? And
Yeah.
now to actually know the tools and techniques to actually do that for myself, to calm myself, to help my kids calm their nervous system and everything. It is such a beautiful thing.
Right. And that's the cool thing about EFT is like, A, kids can do it, right? Like you can totally do it with your kids. It's so simple. And it's that not only mindset, but it's also the somatic aspect. So
Yeah.
like you're saying, you're doing this technique and it's hitting so many levels of like, yes, you're dealing with your mindset and you're also dealing with your emotions and you're also then regulating your nervous system. And I can only imagine how powerful that is for like little kids who potentially, like you're saying, go back to homes that maybe aren't super regulated and they are going to be the change or they're going to, maybe light something in their parents. So that's
Yes.
so cool.
Yeah. Well, and EFT is one of the techniques that I actually do on a daily basis. And my nephew is actually, he's 6 and he's autistic. And at Christmas time, he was feeling really unsettled. And so I said, look at Auntie. And we actually went through and tapped, and he was able to repeat the tapping. And I tapped for him instead
Mhm.
of him tapping for himself. And it calmed him down so quickly. It was beautiful. It was such a beautiful moment that I got to have with my nephew,
Yeah.
but also to show like my brother-in-law and sister-in-law something different that they could use when my nephew is feeling a little uneasy and a little unregulated and everything. But EFT was one of the techniques that I actually use on a daily basis to just help calm me if I'm going into any situation, or if a million things are going through my head and it's like, okay, what is this trying to do? I feel really uneasy. And it actually helped me go off my medication. I'm 1 year off
Wow.
medication. I was on a high dose of antidepressants, anti-anxiety, and ADHD medication that just kind of, it was almost like a band-aid,
Mhm.
right? Almost like a band-aid. I wasn't really feeling. And EFT was one of the techniques that actually helped me be able to go off it. And I'm a year now off all my medication, and I'm thriving. Like,
Oh,
I'm really
wow.
thriving. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I know. I'm like, it's
Congratulations.
a win. I'll say that.
That's
Yeah.
so exciting. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of probably my biggest things throughout the whole, and I know it was like right after I graduated,
Yeah.
but it was like changing the identity of who Brittany is. I'm
Mhm.
not somebody who has depression. I'm not somebody who has anxiety. I have sad moments. I have anxious feelings and everything. And EFT was one of the biggest things that helped me realize that I am safe when I'm not on my medication too. And so it is such a beautiful thing. I definitely don't advise just going off, right? Like, talk to your doctor. I always say that, talk to your doctor to make sure that it's right for you. But yeah, that was 7 years of high doses of those. So that was 7 years of me not really actually feeling much. And now I
Right.
feel everything. I cry with everything, but it's so beautiful. It's such a great feeling to actually feel the emotions and to move through them,
Yes.
right? So yeah, EFT,
Yeah.
I love EFT.
Oh, okay. And that's huge. Being comfortable moving through your emotions is massive. And then you just realize, you know what I mean? Sometimes there's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know why I'm crying this hard about stuff, but it's other stuff that's now like, okay, I'm safe to cry or whatever it is that comes up. And then, like you said, there's massive shifts that happen. And the
Yes.
identity aspect of like you separating yourself and just being like, okay, maybe I have sad moments or things like that. That's so cool. We know identity is
Yes.
huge.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
I love that. So EFT is one of your favorite. I feel like I can't even ask you like, how has your life changed since the program? Because literally it's just this whole thing, Brittany. This is massive. Okay. EFT is a favorite. Is there any other techniques that you like love to lean on?
Yes. NEE.
Mm.
NEE probably is one of the coolest techniques that I learned and got to experience. I was able to break some, I guess, feelings, habits, behaviors from, and I've done this quite a bit on myself and everything, but I was able to release some things from like two past lives ago.
Wow.
Two past lives ago. So I had been carrying that junk with me for two past lives. And then it's funny because during Yes Apply, I did a lot of inner child work, which I had
Mm.
never touched on. And these techniques, and NEE was actually one of the techniques that touched on inner child healing. Growing up, I had a very severe learning disability.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in grade two, I didn't know how to spell my name. And in grade five, I didn't know how to read. So it's funny that I'm a doctor now.
Yeah.
um, But I remember with doing NEE, it's funny because it's such an consciously you don't really know what's going on. You're listening to the subconscious, right? It's all those first things. And I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. But then looking back, I was like, wow. So like when I was 4 years old, I broke something from when I was four. And also when I was 8 years old, I broke something when I was 8 years old just by doing NEE. And I remember I was with Marcy and I just cried. I cried. I cried. And it was such a beautiful feeling. But NEE and EFT are probably two of my very favorite techniques that we learned. And then I love hypnosis. I think it's the coolest thing ever. I love it.
Totally.
I did hypnosis with my 11-year-old. I did that with her because she really doesn't like school, and so we
Mm.
did some hypnosis. And she thought it was really neat, and she started to really enjoy going to school again, seeing her friends and
Oh.
everything. Yeah, yeah. But those are probably NEE and EFT were probably my very favorite techniques that we got to learn. Yeah,
I love that. Okay, and I love the integration with your kids too. Like you can just tell like you really were the ripple and you literally were just like I'm the last one. Let's teach everybody all the things, you know. You have all these tools. It can be so empowering. I feel like it's like
yeah,
walking around with this toolbox if you see things where it's like, "Oh, this needs to be readjusted" or things like that because it's just not in alignment with our highest good. Then
yeah.
it's just like, "Oh, well, I have all the tools." That's such an empowering feeling.
Yeah, it was. It was, and it is. You know, I see my kids just they've changed a lot, and it's funny because I see a lot of friends come up to me and they're like, "You've changed," and I'm like, "We're supposed to change. We're
Hmm.
supposed to change, right? We're supposed to evolve." And a lot of people are scared of that change. And growing up in a house where my dad always said, I don't like change, I don't like change, that kind of stayed with me. And now it's like, no, I like to change. I love to evolve into the woman that I'm becoming. And I love to see my kids dreaming bigger. I loved when Reese said, if you could have anything and you knew the answer was going to be yes, what would you wish for? If you could wish for anything and you knew the answer was going to be yes, that was huge because oftentimes we don't dream big because we don't think that we're ever going to get there. But it's insane just how much you allow yourself to dream, just everything starts trickling in and you start becoming that person who actually wants those things, you know, and I do that with my kids all the time. My daughter wants to do Japan and that was one of her big yes. And I said, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? She said Japan. And she started learning Japanese and all of these synchronicities, came in. It's like, oh, Japan, Japan, Japan. I'm like, okay, we're going to Japan. We don't know when, but we're going,
Right.
right? So just everything with Yes Supply, doing the course, I did not know really going in what I was going to get out, but it literally changed my life and it's changed my family's life because I have the tools to help my kids navigate their journeys and everything, you know? So being the one has really changed the course of my family and generations to come.
Right. That is so cool. Oh my gosh, I loved that. Like when you said that you grew up hearing, I don't like change, I don't like change, that just cued something buried so deep in my brain, Brittany, of how many times I've heard that, right? And it's this aspect of change that people don't like. It's this uncertainty, right? Of like, if things are different, I don't know what to predict. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. And it's so interesting, like you're saying, the more you can change and become these new things and regulate your nervous system to these new things and be like, I don't know what's going to happen next, but that's totally okay because I'm safe in this moment is huge. And then showing your kids and like planting seeds of dreams in their head about Japan and learning Japanese, like that is so cool. And how expansive for like you and them. And again, like you're saying, you really are going to see the change just generation to generation. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, I wasn't out there looking for Yes Supply. I didn't even know what um EFT was. I didn't really, what I thought hypnosis was like, you know, being on stage barking like a dog, stuff like that, right? It just, everything happened so beautifully. And instead of resisting these signs, I guess, from the universe, instead of resisting, I went in and I
Mm-hmm.
started as just doing it on my own. And then I wanted more. And then when Reese announced that she was going to open up her first cohort since, and I was like, I want in. And the women that I got to meet in our cohort, there was like 30 of us. We
Mm-hmm.
still connect with each other on
I
our
love
little
that.
WhatsApp group. We still connect with each other. I've, you know, we've shared techniques with, you know, I'm in Canada and I've shared with, you know, Gayatri in Malaysia, or, you know, like we've formed such a beautiful group of women to come together, and we still talk, we still check in with each other, seeing how everybody's doing. And I felt like it just, everything lined up so amazing that it was, I had to do it. I had to
Mm-hmm.
do it. And it was like the universe was saying, Brittany, this is your next step. This is your next step for your growth. But being a coach was never really something that I thought I was going to do, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest, because I was a financial advisor and I was, you know, doing that. But as I was going through the Yes Supply, I actually took a step back from the financial business. It's very masculine energy, very hustle culture. And I realized that that's not who I am. I want ease. I want flow. I want alignment. I want what aligns with me and everything. And so I took a step back and really focused on my personal growth with doing all the
Mm.
techniques and learning everything and absorbing the information. And I actually ended up resigning from my position in the financial world because I want to teach this to people. I want to teach it to the next generations to come, because exactly what Reese says, why isn't this taught in schools? This needs to be taught in schools. You know, our book, my daughter's principal actually has our book, and had Brinley and I come to a parent night to talk about how to help kids that deal with anxiety or anxious feelings and everything. And so my daughter and I got to go and talk to them, and I got to share her story, and I got to leave the parents with more information that I felt we didn't have. There weren't any resources out there for us when we were going through that journey together. You know, she had gone to a therapist, but I felt like I was very alone in that with her. And so I've had some of the parents reach out and say, okay, like, can we set up a time could you teach me this? And I'm like, absolutely, you know, and I love that. I love being able to help people in my community and, you know, connect with people on my social media and everything like that. I love connecting with people. So, like I said, I was not looking for this. but it came to me and I accepted it with open arms and I jumped in and it literally changed my life.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that is so cool, Brittany. Everything about this, I'm just getting chills while you're talking. Oh my gosh. Okay, I just feel like this is just magical. All the synchronicities, all of the things. Um, you're up to huge things. Okay, I wish we had like an hour long podcast. I feel like we could just keep talking about all the things. There's a million
Fast. It was
directions. Um, okay, Brittany, where can we follow along with your journey? Where can we find you?
you can follow me on my Instagram. It's at ITS Brittany underscore Harper. So it's Brittany underscore Harper. That is where I basically am. I absolutely love my page. I do a lot of, things where it not, I don't want to say trigger points, but things I ask questions where it's like, holy crap, I'm actually dealing with that, or that's me.
Mhm.
So on my Instagram, I don't have a website yet. So I want people to come into my DMs. I want to make those connections with people. And I've made beautiful connections with a lot of women around the world, which is awesome. Just we meet up on Zoom and everything. So it's Brittany Harper underscore Harper. That's where you can find me. I do have some things coming up in the works, but right now I'm focusing on having the best summer with my kids. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing being out in the mountains and grounding and everything. So yeah, that's where you can find me, is on my Instagram.
Okay, what about your book? Can you order the book online?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
So you can actually, I will show you what it looks like. My daughter actually designed. This is what it looks like. It's
Oh my
called Rise
gosh,
Up.
Brittany.
Yeah,
It's
it's called
beautiful.
Rise Up 20 Days to a Healthier Mindset for Teen and Tweens. So my daughter designed it. We wanted something fun and colorful. So that is actually on Amazon. You
Okay, cool.
can get it on Amazon, and it's like lots of little activities, some coloring, because who doesn't like coloring, right? So lots of
Exactly.
activities. And yeah, so that's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, well, Brittany, thank you so much for chatting with me. I literally have had so much fun having
Thank
our
you,
chat.
Riley.
Um,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, we'll all follow along on your journey on Instagram. And
Thank
thanks for being here.
you. Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. This was amazing. I feel so honored that you guys asked me to do this, and I'm so excited. And I was like sweating the whole time.
Sometimes I sweat too. You're good.
Thank you so much,
Have a
Riley.
beautiful day.
Yes.
Bye.